Hello everybody, welcome to this Monday Masterclass. Today it is Life After Coaching Training with Lucy Mullins. So Lucy has joined us, but she's having a very mild technical issue, which means that her video isn't working. So she's with us on audio but not on video. Francis is also joining us with a minor audio issue, it seems, from also from Brighton. But thanks very much, everybody, for joining us. If you would like to just tell us where you are dialing in from in the chat, that'd be great, just so we can get an idea of who is calling in from where. So I'm Simon Batchelor, co-founder of Better, Bolder, Braver, and I am in Brighton, the not very sunny Brighton today. Lucy, where are you calling in from?
Hello, I am in, I want to say sunny Wapping, because it's normally sunny in Wapping. It's a little bit grey today, but we'll make it sunny. It's lovely to be here.
We've got Tim from London. Excellent. Hello, Tim. Joseph's calling from Milton Keynes. You're muted on there, Francis. You just need to go to the... No.
So you can't see me, but you can see Francis, and we can't hear Francis, but you can hear me. So Francis, between us, will be one complete person.
Exactly. We've got Michelle from Lancashire, and we've got Yvonne from Sunderland. Joanna calling in from North London. Wonderful stuff. I think you're mute. Yeah, it's just muted, Francis. If you hover over you should be able to unmute. Oh. We will get going as soon as we get sunshine and showers. The New Forest from Lucy Bramley. Excellent, thank you. So today we're going to start this conversation with Lucy. So Lucy, how about you give us a quick introduction for those who aren't aware of you and your work?
Thank you, Simon. So lovely to be here. I can see lots of names in the chat that I recognise. So lovely to be here with you. I am Lucy Mullins. I am co-founder of Ride the Wave Professional Coach Training. I am an executive coach. I call my coaching practice executive cheerleading, something I've been doing now for about 12 years. And I'm also the co-founder of Stepladder, which is a fast-growing fintech company helping people get on the property ladder. So that is how I spend my time.
Excellent. That's superb. It sounds like quite a mixture of different things there. So in terms of Ride the Wave, do you want to tell us a little bit more about sort of what's involved with that? What do you bring to your coaching training with Ride the Wave?
Love to. Thank you. So my co-founder Sonia and I set up Ride the Wave because we wanted to make coach training more experiential, more fun, and I think most importantly, more inclusive. We just noticed that most coaches that we met or came across kind of looked and sounded like Sonia and myself, white, female, middle class, and we thought that was a bit boring and not right, and we weren't capturing in the coaching world the diversity and brilliance of everybody and all the different perspectives that could come to coaching. And so one of our core values at Ride the Wave is to celebrate diversity, and so we have scholarships for people who wouldn't normally be able to access coach training. So we've trained coaches from age 20 through to age 70, from countries all over the world. We have people dialing into the Ride the Wave Beach Hut from India, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, South America, South Africa. So it's really lovely to have that sort of cultural diversity. And then also different backgrounds and different industry experience. So we've trained everybody from kind of vice chancellors of universities through to lawyers and accountants, professional service firms, and then also personal trainers, marketeers, founders of startups. So real mixture, much more beyond your kind of traditional coaching industries. So yeah, we're very, very passionate about diversity and making an impact. And it's one of the reasons we called Ride the Wave is because we like to make waves in the world. And so we offer pro bono coaching, to charities and social impact organisations. So all of our coaches can up their coaching hours by offering pro bono coaches to our charity partners. And then we also offer scholarships to charities to train people in coaching. So they're two of our big values: social impact and celebrating diversity.
Yeah, that's quite a really exciting sort of, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Ignition behind the idea of wanting to bring something different to coaching training. And I think it sounds like a really rewarding way to do it as well. Hello, Frances.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I've had to disconnect my mic and my earphones because I was getting crazy noise. So can you hear me now? I don't have anything connected, I'm afraid, but is it all right?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry everyone. Hi. I've heard bits of it because I've had the window open, even though I haven't been seen or heard. So.
Would you want to give us a quick intro, Frances?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, can you plug your headphones in as well to your computer? That'd be great. Thank you.
We can do a quick example of how Simon has to help me with tech all the time, if people would like to witness that, because there's the truth of the matter is that when you're doing podcasting, crowdcasting and all the rest of it, if you're brilliant at tech, lucky for you. And if you're not, it's useful to have someone like Simon to help you. So here's the bit where we show you a live demonstration of what happens every time Simon and I record anything for anyone or with anyone. So what am I doing? I'm plugging in my headphones, Simon.
Yeah, that should be a lot better now. Otherwise, you don't get the echo. So
okay.
That's superb.
And
wonderful stuff. Okay, Frances, let's have your intro, and then we'll loop back round and bring Lucy back into the conversation.
Is this all right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, no. Thank you. I'm actually in Brighton, although I'm not with Simon. And I'm thrilled to have Lucy on, although I don't know if you've mentioned whether or not this is going to be a half an hour session or not.
Not yet. I thought we'd just see how we get to.
Okay. I'm very happy to have you with us, Lucy, today. And, you know, there are three kind of main reasons why I was excited to have Lucy on. The one being, of course, that she runs a wonderful coaching training. The second one is that she also runs something else, and I thought it would be really interesting for everyone to hear about what it is to be a coach, but to be doing other things as well in life, and about work-life balance. And then the third is that Lucy and I have had some really, really amazing conversations over the month that we've been getting to know each other around what it means to be marketing yourself as a coach. So I think that Lucy can talk about three things. One is what happens when you're on the coaching training journey. And then what happens afterwards, which, as the name would suggest of this session. But then I think in addition to that sort of coaching training journey and what happens afterwards, Lucy has kindly said that she'll be able to talk about her own marketing as a coach and as a business owner, and as I say, about the work-life balance. So I know that there's so many things that we can talk about today that lots of people here will find incredibly useful to hear. So thanks again, Lucy.
Pleasure. So nice to be here. Thank you.
Were you in the middle of telling everyone about Ride the Wave? Is that right? And the inclusivity?
Absolutely. So yeah, our celebrating diversity and social impact being kind of two of our core values that we've talked about. And then I think the one that's really relevant probably to people that are listening today and thinking about how you market yourself as a coach is community. That's our third value. And I know those of you that are on, I can see some of your names who've been on Ride the Wave. We have a really, really strong community. We always joke, laughter is our fourth value. Sonia and I joke quite a lot, but we say, like, once you're in, you never get out of the beach hut. So people are really sad when the program ends. It's seven days and then 3 bespoke one-to-one sessions with Sonia or myself. And we've just run the last module for one group, and everybody gets really sad. It's very emotional, and we say, don't worry, you never get to leave. Like, you're now a surfer, you are now in the Ride the Wave community, and you never get to leave. So and people engage at different levels, but so far what we found, we trained over 100 coaches so far, and people need that support once they've trained in different ways. Sometimes it's with something kind of quite practical, like, oh, can you remember that coaching model? Or I read this great book, or here's a really great question I used that really helped somebody. to do with the coaching, and sometimes it's much more to do with that kind of business development side, or the confidence to put out your first LinkedIn post and say, hey, I'm a coach and this is how much I'm charging. And so what we see in our kind of community, we have each wave who train together as their own communities, where people share things, and then we have the bigger community where people can kind of share across waves their learnings, and people will say, hey, does anyone know a good accountant? I'm just getting set up. Or is there anybody help me with this? Or does anybody know where I can read about that? And we just have this like lovely community feel where coaches can support each other. And because we've got such a diverse community, then it's excellent, because, you know, we've got a number of lawyers in the group, and then we've got personal trainers in the group. And so somebody's always got something new and interesting to share. So community, I think, is a huge one for when you're trying to market yourself and set up your business after you've trained as a coach.
Amazing. And how are you interacting with people? How do people tend to like to interact within the community? Do you have, if you can talk us through the sort of platforms that you guys use to talk to each other?
Different waves to have different things. So one of the waves have a lovely co-coaching forum that they set up. So we encourage and support it, but we let the surfers kind of interact how they want to. So one of the waves has a lovely co-coaching forum. One of the waves, when they were allowed to meet up, I know arranged to kind of meet up. We get these little random messages and photos of like, oh, I just met so-and-so often they meet on the beach as well. We have a lot of surfers that come from by the beach. So they'll send photos, they'll have like impromptu meetups. WhatsApp, it still works brilliantly as a medium for kind of supporting each other. We make the Beach Hut available. The Beach Hut is basically our Zoom account, but we call it the Beach Hut because it sounds more exciting. We make the Beach Hut available, so if people need a professional Zoom account to meet, they can pop in and use our Beach Hut to have meetups. Then we organise more formal things. So we're having our first Refresh Your Thinking Day in November, and that will be open to the wider Ride the Wave community. So we've got about 600 in our broader community on our mailing list, and who come to our kind of online free events. And so we'll be having a whole day in the Beach Hut in November to refresh your thinking, and that'll be a chance for people to come together. There'll be new coaching tools, new book reviews, breakout rooms, coaching triads, all those lovely things that as coaches we like to do to kind of refresh our thinking.
I love that, and I love the model that you've taught me through, the Ride the Wave model, and the idea of it, you're kind of in it for the long run with people, and people are going to sort of undulate in and out of different parts of their own personal journey and their journey with their clients. And yeah, you've been really complimentary, Lucy, of what it is that I've been doing over the months, and what Simon and I are now doing together, which is to sort of also offer this sort of holding space for people who are kind of post-training. We've talked about how important it is, haven't we, for people to feel that once they've done their training, that's, the beginning of the journey, and, quite a lot can happen from there. I mean, there's so many things that I know you can sort of talk to at this point, whether it's about your own journey as a coach and setting up the business, meeting Sonia, working with Sonia, sort of what you see as being, the range of experiences that people have when they kind of come out of coaching training, and what happens next. I don't know if anything's coming up for you now that you particularly like to talk to about sort of what happens after, people graduate, as it were.
Yeah, so we have four kind of buckets of people that, to use buckets because you use those on a beach, don't you? So we have four kind of groups of people who come on the training, and so they all want quite different things when they graduate. So we have internal coaches, particularly from law firms and accountancy firms, who are being sponsored to come through the program and use coaching within their organization. They clearly don't need kind of marketing support afterwards, but obviously it's lovely to be part of a community and have that support if they come out of a tough coaching session, or they've got something they're struggling with. It goes above and beyond that kind of classic coaching supervision, which we do offer on Ride the Wave. But I think that community and support is lovely. But I think the marketing side is obviously far less important for the internal coaches. Then we have lots of people who want to add coaching as a string to their bow in an already successful portfolio career. So we have people that have been consulting for many years, and they decided that coaching actually would be a lovely sort of string to add to the bow as they go on and do non-exec roles. They're already very well networked. They've got clients. They're just going to kind of add that in. So again, sometimes they need a little bit of help in terms of what's their kind of unique coaching offering going to be, but often they just go off and fly. They're like, great, I've got my network, I've got my clients, I'm just adding in coaching. And that's actually was my story when I trained as a coach, is I already had a strong portfolio of clients. I just wanted to add a string to my bow when I became a coach. The third group of people are already successful coaches who want to accredit. So we have quite a few people who are already coaching, got all their coaching clients, got their kind of store laid out brilliantly, but they've never accredited. And more accreditation is becoming really important. And you're not being able to pick up gigs in the kind of big companies if you aren't accredited. So they want to come and get accreditation. And something we do on Ride the Wave is really help fast track people through accreditation with the Association for Coaching. So they're the first three groups of people. And then I'd say about 20 to 25% of people that come on Ride the Wave are in this final bucket, which is the really exciting one for what we're talking about. And that is they want to set up on their own. They're having a career change. They want to train as a coach. And then they want to build out. They want to set out their stall as a coach. And I think this is the group. And certainly if you're listening to that and you're in that group, and then, you know, you're in the right place with Francis and Simon, because what you want is somebody with expertise in marketing and somebody that can kind of coach you. And we'll do a bit of this on the program and we'll continue doing it. But I think, Francis, what you really bring alongside Simon's marketing expertise is that ability to help people articulate and be brave and be bold and talk about themselves. Because actually, just because you train to be a coach and you may have those skills doesn't mean you're necessarily very good at talking on a podcast or writing a LinkedIn post or just feeling brave about putting yourself out there. So I'd say they're the kind of four groups. So there are a lot of people who come on our program who are like, oh, I don't need to market myself. And then there are this other group who that's all they can think about. They're like, oh my gosh, how do I get my first client?
I mean, just to give Simon credit, I mean, I think what's interesting about the way that we work together is that through Simon, I've been able to kind of pin a lot of what I do around the feelings onto a sort of clear sort of sense of the steps that we want to take people on in terms of how to get from where they are now to where they think they want to be in terms of being able to put themselves out there. And the confidence that comes alongside that is both in terms of an awareness of what a good marketing journey looks like, but also that whole thing about sort of holding a mirror up to yourself and working out what's going to make you feel good about putting yourself out there. And the thing that's become really exciting to us about working with coaches is that all the skills that they're learning with you, Lucy, in terms of you know, how to become a good coach for others, is exactly the stuff that we're talking to them about repurposing in relation to themselves. And the irony we see is that where people can be so good at enabling others to kind of work out what their vision is and where they want to be, you know, actually they've got it all within them to do the same things for themselves. And I think what people are finding helpful in the community, in the Better Bolder Braver community so far, is that they're sort of having sort of relatively quick light bulb moments about something making sense. And I think it's because, you know, we're working with a very malleable, open, creative crowd already who've already got within them the skills that it takes. And I think largely that's to do with really good coaching training. And we're not looking to ask you to talk today about, and we're certainly not looking to be the sort of coach police, whether that's in terms of what good coaching training looks like or whether or not accreditation makes all the difference to how good a coach you are. But it's safe to say that from our point of view, the more comprehensive a coaching sort of experience someone has had, the more able they're going to be to sort of understand sort of what they need in order to have a sustainable business, because they're continually able to put themselves out there in a way that energizes them as opposed to makes them burn out. I mean, I'm interested though for you to talk about sort of what would happen if you had gone through the whole training and then there was this sort of, you know, where do you see people going in the first instance in terms of trying to find clients? What's your experience been about people trying to get out there straight off the bat from freshman training?
It's quite nice actually, because what we see is the people that are in that group of wanting to go out and find clients, they tend to buddy up actually with somebody else from the course that's in the same situation. So we don't really see that sort of competition of, oh, well, there's only a few clients, who's going to get them? It's more that moral support of needing someone on the journey with you. And one of the things we really encourage in the Ride the Wave community is when your friends and family or colleagues want coaching, don't coach them yourself. It's very tempting when you're starting out. It's like, oh, I've coached my sister, or I coached my husband. They're like, what are you doing? You've got all of these coaching buddies. Swap your friends and family and coach them, because you can't coach people you know. So that's how we get started with the, like, okay, get your first few clients, and okay, they might not be paying, and some people come straight in and are ready to start charging, which is fantastic. Not everybody is, and everybody's on their own sort of path with that. So we get them to swap, but then actually what happens is actually it's sometimes much easier to market your coaching buddies than it is to market yourself. So actually what I hear in the community is, oh, so-and-so got me a coaching client, because it's very easy to say of one of your coaching buddies, who, by the way, you've been on this amazing self-development journey with and shared lots of things with, on the coaching journey, to say, oh, I'll tell you what, Simon's an amazing coach. You should really talk to him. Much easier than saying, oh, I'm an amazing coach, you should work with me. And then Simon can tell people I'm an amazing coach. And actually, that's what I see, actually, is that, some may call that a bit of a safety blanket, and, what are you hiding from if you can't sell yourself? But actually, I just see it as a lovely part of being in a community. And actually, if Simon's got people that need coaching, and maybe, Simon, you're too close to them to coach them, then why wouldn't you recommend somebody like and trust? And it just becomes a little bit easier, because often, unless you've got a very, very good professional network, the people that you know well enough are probably not the people you should be coaching anyway, because they're often kind of close friends or people that you're working with that maybe it's not appropriate to coach. So much better actually maybe to buddy up, and that's kind of one of the things I see. Others who are more fluent in social media will kind of set up, certainly do see this with our younger coaches. They've got an Instagram account set up, the day they start, they've got a company name, they've got some lovely graphics, and off they go, posting some great stuff on Instagram, and they start building a following on Instagram. I'm seeing some of our coaches on TikTok, which is brilliant. And I know there's a huge amount of coaching stuff going on TikTok. And then I see anyone sort of my age and above going, oh my gosh, TikTok, oh, it's all too scary, I'm not doing a silly dance. And so there's a bit of an age divide. I'm sure there are lots of people above 40 who are very, very good on TikTok. But what I generally see in our community is that sort of divide of, oh, it's all a bit scary, social media, and then versus that total fluency. I've grown up with it. Of course, I'm just going to post something on here. And I've seen a couple of our younger coaches build really successful coaching practices through their Instagram following and picking up clients in that way.
That's so useful. I love the idea of, like, and you and I obviously have been banging on about cheerleading, haven't we, since we first started talking to each other, and how we're kind of we're each other's cheerleaders, which is such a lovely feeling. It's so nice to know you've got someone else's back and they've got yours. And what we're not about, just to be clear, is this idea that I think is out there in the marketing world, that you can kind of join a group of people that are going to immediately like and engage with your posts, so as to kind of get the numbers of likes and engagement up, which is not something that Simon and I are suggesting people should do. I think they're called engagement circles, or groups, or whatever.
Or pods is another thing.
Yeah,
LinkedIn
that's not
pods, Instagram pods, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and this isn't today about why those aren't going to work in the long term. But what I'm talking about when I talk about cheerleading between Lucy and I is that we've just generally really understood what the other is kind of getting at and is good for and wants, and we just appreciate what the other's doing, and sort of happy to hear from each other privately and on social media, and sort of happy to say when what the other has said has really resonated, and that's what I mean by cheerleading. And I can see in the chat, Lucy Bramley has talked about the amazing support that she's got from Lucy, Sonia, and others on the Ride the Wave community. And in fact, certainly I met Lucy through people who'd been on the course, and just told me I had to talk to Lucy because she was wonderful, and that's because of the sort of cheerleading that your graduates do for you, Lucy. One thing I want to understand more from you about today is sort of how many you've very helpfully broken down your people into these 4 buckets. And I'm interested for you to talk to, there's a couple of people that I can see here, some are people who are, just fully immersing themselves in the world of coaching and moving on from what they were doing before. There's others for whom it makes more sense to be coaching and doing maybe a part-time job at the same time. I wonder if we can just get onto the idea of the work-life balance, but also the kind of coaching and other professional life balance stuff. And I don't know if you sort of happy to talk to your own personal experience or just shed any light for people on how you see the balance working for coaches who've recently graduated from training.
Yeah, I speak quite a lot about work-life integration more than balance, but actually I really struggle to separate work and life. I'm one of those really annoying and really lucky people that just there's no difference to me. Like, I absolutely love the two businesses that I run, and it sounds so smug, but I really am so lucky to love what I do. And I went through most of my 20s not loving what I did, and so the work-life balance thing really like resonated. Of like, I'm at work and now I want to have my life, and now I'm like, there's nothing more I like than sitting down reading a coaching book or writing something about coaching, or when I'm at Stepladder, like I think about what we're doing at Stepladder every day. We're helping people buy their first homes, and so for me, it's about, I think it's, for me, how I like to split my life at the moment, and I'm working on this with my coach, is doing and being. So I try and have a doing and being balance, and I think I've for the last 20 years been in a very much a doing. I call it the task treadmill of like, I've always got a to-do list. I'm like, must do this, must do this, must do this. And that's how I'm lucky enough to have these two businesses, which I love, because I just do. And actually, I'm now at the stage where I think I need to step back and think a little bit more, because the businesses are running really well, which is excellent. But you need to sort of elevate yourself above and think, well, what next? And what's the strategy? And how do we keep growing this? Or do we want to keep growing this? Or what's the plan? And you don't work that out by sitting at your desk with a to-do list. You need to have time. So I think that for me is the closest thing to maybe a traditional kind of work-life balance. I don't have children, so I don't have to think about anyone other than myself, which is quite a luxury. So yeah, for me, it's how do I, and I'm struggling with it a little bit at the moment, because there's always things to do. And how do I get more time to think? So I've got things like a thinking chair, which I'm looking at now, and I remove myself from my desk, and all devices are taken away from me. I'm a bit of a WhatsApp junkie. And so I sit in the thinking chair and I sort of force myself to think. And I'm not a great thinker alone. So, I mean, I have a fabulous coach who helps me a lot, but also I've discovered that writing helps me, because it's almost like thinking aloud. I write down everything I'm thinking, and I've discovered literally in the last sort of 3 weeks, this is hot off the press, that some of my best ideas come when I just sort of sit and write. Or if I'm listening to a podcast, I have to write at the same time, otherwise I lose focus. And then I start thinking, oh, I should be replying to this email, or I should be doing something on my to-do list. So for me, that's the balance I'm trying to strike, is almost like doing less to do more.
Love that. I mean, this kind of comes on to mindful of your time, and one thing that we don't want to forget to ask you before we leave off today is what coaching question do you have in your bank of brilliant coaching questions that you would ask of another coach in terms of their own marketing? So what question springs to mind that you think could be really valuable for people who might be struggling with the idea of putting themselves out there? Your idea of the chair is a brilliant coaching, I'm imagining it's a coaching concept that you encourage people to employ in their personal development. And I'm, on that, in that sense, wondering if there are any questions that you have that are similarly useful.
I guess one question that springs to mind is, what do you really not want to do? Simon's face. That's a good question. What do you really not want to do?
It's a really interesting one.
Yeah, classic one is, what are you afraid of? And what's the worst that can happen? That's always one of my favorite. What's the worst that can happen, really? What, you might win a client. You put something out on LinkedIn and nobody replies, or you might win a client. So that definitely gets people moving. And then one of my favorite coaching questions, which I'm going to say out loud, and I might have to reframe it when I've said it out loud because it's just coming to my head. I've never used it in this context, is what do you know that you need to do, but you'll only find out 1 year from now? What do you know that you need to do, but you'll only find out 1 year from now? That's normally the face I get when I
Do you
ask.
mean you'll
That's a
only
good
find
one.
out the answer? So you know you want to do it, you know you have to do it, but you won't see the results until a year from now?
Slightly more ethereal than that in a way. And so it's one of those weird questions that for about 50% of the population, it literally doesn't land because they're too logical and they try and work it out. And you and Simon have perfectly demonstrated this of like, so what do you mean by that? Very logical. And other people, and I think Simon's done this a bit more, it's like, oh, yeah, it's that sort of, you know something deep down in your gut, but you're sort of not going to find it out. You don't know it, you can't know it, but you will know it in a year's time or 6 months' time. So depending on how you react to that question, you've already learned a lot about yourself, because some of you will be like, it doesn't make sense what you're talking about. I have lots of clients.
So funny, because I think of myself as like absolutely the kind of totally existential, illogical person. So my feeling when you say that I sound very logical is thank you.
You're very logical, very logical. And so, yeah, that question will either land with you or you'll go, oh my gosh, that's a weird, bonkers question. I don't understand it. So
no, I do. Yeah, I get it. Okay.
Well, what immediately sprang to mind for me was like, I need to like keep going at the podcast, because it's that thing that you do, and when you're very first starting, there isn't that feedback loop that makes it really rewarding. You just have to keep putting into it over and over again, and then in a year's time you'll look back. And I know this from starting another podcast, when me and my friend started doing a podcast, and like the first one we got like 3 people listen to it and we were over the moon, and now we consistently get sort of 30 or 40 people listen to the episodes, and we're like looking back on those episodes right at the beginning, which was a year ago, like thinking like it would have been so easy to just give up then. But actually looking back on it now, we're like, I'm so glad we stuck with it, because it's been really rewarding and what we've learned along the way. So that's where my mind jumped to, of that thing of just like, it can be hard to do from a sort of motivation point of view in the beginning, but actually just sticking with it, it does pay off. But you only find out in a year, you know. It's that thing a coach once told me, when talking about social media posting. They said that you're sort of, your first 50 posts are a warm-up. So it doesn't matter what you put out really for the first 50 posts, because not enough people are going to see it, and not enough people are going to pay that much attention to it. And considering the amount of time you're putting into it, but all of the things you learn and develop and grow in those first 50 posts, I mean that by the time you get to 50, A, you've stopped counting how many posts you're doing, and B, you're enjoying it so much that it's like second nature to you.
I love that. That reminds me of James Clear and habits. You know, that just once you get into the habit of something, and that's the hardest thing to do. So I think that's a great tip, Simon, for social media, and one that I will be taking away.
Wonderful. Well, I think it's probably a really nice place to leave off for this conversation for now. Thank you very much for joining us, Lucy, today. Especially considering you've been feeling very unwell for the last few days. I really appreciate you stepping up and joining us and being fantastic in this conversation today.
Thank you for having me. Yes, nice to be back in the this. I'm going to call this the real world, because it's certainly better than being in bed with COVID. So thank you for having me.
No, thank you, and we'll see you around. Thanks to everyone for joining us, and you can connect with Lucy in many ways. I'm just going to post in the chat now. Give me a second. Simon, can you please hold the space?
Yes. So we're going to post Lucy's LinkedIn and website into the chat. So especially if you're rewatching this on the replay and you'd like to find out more about Lucy, then you can connect with her on LinkedIn. You can also visit her website and learn more about her wonderful work in both of her companies that she's running. And if you would like to join next week's our next Monday masterclass conversation, you're already in the right place on Crowdcast. Just go to our next events and you will see what's coming up. Obviously, quite a lot of you will be watching this on the replay, so what's next week for me now won't be next week for you. So just go to the our page and you'll see the next event coming up, and you can save your spot. If you would like to learn more about what we're doing over at Better, Bolder, Braver, then you can, of course, visit our website, which is betterbolderbraver.com. And also there is a button underneath the stream, which should take you to the community. Yes, the button is there, so you can click that button and learn more and join there. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you on another Crowdcast Monday Masterclass conversation soon. So thank you very much for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time.
Just posting the links now, everyone.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, the links are there.
Lucy, can you remind me what the best Instagram? I've got it, but I don't want to keep people. Where you want people to find them.
I'll give you the website. That's probably the easiest thing, and then all the social links. Take your pick the social from the website. But there you go. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Okay, brilliant.
Thanks very much,
Thanks,
Lucy.
Lucy.